Before you even opened your eyes for the first time, the world already expected greatness from you. Not because of anything you did, because of your last name. Jordan. A name stitched into the history of sports like royalty. A name printed on billion-dollar sneakers. A name screamed by packed arenas long before you were born. And the second people discover you're the child of Michael Jordan, they stop seeing you as a normal human being. Now you're a continuation of a legend, a sequel, an expectation. But legends make terrible fathers to grow up behind. Because how do you compete with someone the world literally calls the greatest of all time? You can't. And deep down, everybody knows it, including you. That realization starts early. At school, teachers stare a little longer during attendance. Parents whisper when they see you play sports. Other kids challenge you constantly, desperate to say they beat Michael Jordan's son at something, anything. Basketball becomes the worst part. Because you don't get introduced to the game normally. Most kids discover basketball through fun. You discover it through pressure. By age 10, adults already analyze your jump shot. Coaches expect dominance before practice even starts. If you score 20 points, people shrug. If that was Michael's kid, he should have scored 40. That sentence follows you everywhere, not directly, but emotionally. Because no matter how talented you become, the comparison is unwinnable. You are being measured against a man who became mythology, a man whose highlights are replayed like religious scripture across the internet every single day, and mythology destroys perspective. Normal kids are allowed to improve slowly. You aren't. Every mistake becomes public evidence that you didn't inherit the genes. Imagine being 14 years old and already hearing grown adults debate whether you're a disappointment. That's the reality of being born into iconic bloodlines. The game slowly stops feeling like a game. It becomes an audition. Every practice, every shot, every missed free throw. They're watching for echoes of him. The fadeaway, the competitiveness, the killer instinct. And when they don't see it immediately, disappointment fills the room. That disappointment becomes your real inheritance. Not money, not fame, pressure. Invisible pressure that follows you into every gym in America. Especially because your father isn't just famous. Michael Jordan became a symbol of perfection itself. Even NBA players talk about him like a supernatural force. Entire generations grew up believing he couldn't fail. His image became bigger than sports, bigger than reality. Now imagine sitting at the dinner table with that level of greatness every night. Winning becomes their language. Intensity becomes normal. And children absorb atmosphere more than instructions. You begin feeling guilty for being average at anything, even when your average is still elite compared to everyone else. That's the psychological trap nobody talks about. People assume celebrity children live easy lives because they have wealth. Huge misunderstanding. Wealth protects you from survival problems. It does not protect you from identity problems. And identity becomes the central crisis of your life. Because before you even discover who you are, the world already decided who you're supposed to become. Your childhood never fully belongs to you. It belongs partly to public imagination. Reporters ask about basketball before asking your hobbies. Strangers at airports evaluate whether you look athletic enough. Fans approach you with nostalgic excitement because your existence reminds them of the 90s. You become a walking memory for millions of people. Every day, social media reposts clips of your father doing impossible things. The famous dunks, the flu game, the championships, the last shots. The algorithm continuously reminds the world that your father wasn't human. Winning brings temporary relief. Losing feels catastrophic. The pressure leaks into everything. To fans, you're not just a person. You're an experiment. Can greatness be inherited? Talent doesn't transfer cleanly. Pressure does. If you succeed, people say it was inevitable. If you fail, people laugh. There is no winning, only surviving expectation. Many celebrity children eventually rebel against the family legacy completely. not because they hate their parents, because distance becomes psychological survival, because comparison slowly becomes exhausting. Imagine entering every room already behind. That's what legacy feels like. Your father's shadow arrives before you do. People still introduce you as Michael Jordan's child first. That's the hidden cost of legendary parents. No matter how hard you work to build identity, their story consumes yours. And eventually, you start asking terrifying questions. Do people actually like me? Very few see the actual human underneath the famous last name. Loneliness grows from that realization. You smile during interviews. Meanwhile, internally, you're carrying anxiety most people can't see. The internet makes everything worse. People forget celebrity children are still children. Greatness bends reality, especially inside families. Schedules revolve around it. Conversations revolve around it. Identity revolves around it. And children growing up near greatness often feel like supporting characters inside somebody else's mythology. That creates deep internal conflict. You love your parent. You admire them. But you also quietly resent the pressure attached to their existence. Then you feel guilty for resenting it, which creates even more psychological tension. Therefore, adulthood becomes less about achievement and more about separation. Because when the world spends decades introducing you as somebody else's child, individuality starts feeling revolutionary. And maybe that's the saddest part. You can live in mansions, fly private jets, have unlimited opportunities, and still feel emotionally trapped. Because privilege doesn't erase psychological weight. What if you just wanted permission to exist without comparison? That's the thing about growing up around icons. The world celebrates the icon. The family survives the consequences. And sometimes those consequences last generations. Because children don't only inherit genetics from parents, they inherit emotional atmospheres, public projections, unfinished expectations. And when your parent becomes larger than culture itself, those inheritances become crushingly heavy. Maybe the real reason it sucks to be born as Michael Jordan's child has nothing to do with basketball. Maybe it's because your humanity gets buried underneath legacy before you even understand who you are. From birth, the storyline is already written for you. Future superstar, future disappointment, future Jordan, but never simply yourself. And maybe that's the cruelest part of all. The world gave your father immortality, but immortality casts very long shadows, and children are usually the ones forced to grow up inside them.